So, Steve, I'd like you to just very briefly try and explain to me what that is behind you.
It's just a shed full of glass. No, that's just my milk bottle museum, loosely called a shed. I like to think of it as a workshop, so it's not just like a stable block or something like that. Started off as a small building and then gradually added bits onto it until it's the size you see now as an L shape. It holds approximately 17,500 milk bottles, which my children worked out was about 14.25 tonne of glass, and it contains bottles from all over the world, but primarily British bottles. As far as I'm aware, I have the largest collection of British milk bottles in the British Isles. I do a lot of walking and climbing and belong to many clubs over the years doing the same thing, and if there was ever a bottle or something different, I was the one that found it and took it home. And I was walking on the Brecon Beacons up Pen y Fan and stumbled across an old milk bottle from the 1950s in the Bracken. Took it home. It was from Whitchurch in Shropshire, and I discovered the dairy was closing down. And I then did a bit more investigation and found that all the dairies were starting to close down or being taken over. So I decided to try and get as many bottles as I could, and now 30 years later I'm where I'm at. When I get a milk bottle for the first time, you look at it and you think, first of all, it's glass, I like glass. I like the design on there. I wonder about the milkman who picked that design out of an art book. All the times he had that bottle in his hands and what he did with it. And every bottle, even when I end up with it and it's finished its life as far as he's concerned, is something in its own. It is in its own right. It's something that's never going to be reproduced. It's never going to happen again. It's almost like a one-off, and it's there. The colours cost a lot to print. If you went more than one colour, and don't forget, every one of these bottles until 20 years ago was printed one at a time. Millions of them by girls on a silk screen. They rolled them back and forwards, and when you had more than one colour, they didn't have lasers or marks on the bottle. They had a little dimple which you could line up on the screen, so you knew where to roll it, so you could get the colours in line. Somebody rings me up, or I get a tip on there's a dairy closing down, or somebody's found a barn with some milk bottles. I'm away. Early hours of the morning, up and away. I don't like milk. I think it's baby food. It's nothing I would ever drink. It's not to my taste at all. Have you ever had cornflakes with skimmed milk? It's awful. My mission is to get every milk bottle that I haven't got. Well, I will never complete it. And in all honesty, I never want to. Because while I'm still looking, they're still out there, and I'm still meeting people and having a great time. We've got a milk bottle news, we call it, which is a collection of people who meet now and again around the country. We've had conventions in the past. We've had special bottles produced to commemorate the conventions from different parts of the country. And I have been trying over the years to get a national milk bottle museum organised so that all our collections can go to that. But unfortunately, interest isn't keen. All museums, if you give them anything at the moment, only 1% of it is ever shown. It's underground, you never see it, and I don't want my milk bottles being put underground for 100 years. That's not going to happen. I mean, I've done television before, and I've done press and newspapers coming down my ears, and every woman's magazine you can possibly imagine. I've even been interviewed by Perth Television in Australia, and I thought it was a wind-up, but it wasn't. Now there's the story for you. When they were filming Great Balls of Fire, they wanted a couple of period milk bottles, so they got in touch with me. And I said, yeah, I've got a couple of bottles, and I put them in the post. And my bottles were in the film. Short time living, long time dead. You've got to have fun. You've got to live life a little bit. You've got to slow down, not take things too serious. Look after your friends. Go and see places. I suppose I've slowed down quite a bit. But somebody said the unfortunate thing about when you get to a certain age is life's just downhill. Well, I'm quite happy to have a lot of downhill now, because all I've been doing all my life is pushing uphill. So maybe that's one side of dull, but no, life has never been so full.